We will now move on to Warwick SU for returning tuition fees from strike days. Would the proposer of the motion like to make a 2-minute speech?
I think this is a very important motion because right now the student union has a policy that if they were to get the money back for students, it would go into a student hardship fund. And whilst that's quite nice, the students haven't really had a say on that. And what this motion does is it says that the students have the right to ask for their money back. It also mandates the student union to lobby and to campaign to do to that end, to give the money back directly to students that were affected by the strikes. And yes, that's really it. This motion, I don't know if the union policy would change on its own, but as far as I can see right now, it's either this motion passes and it's in support of fighting for direct compensation, or it doesn't and it supports the SU's current course. So I think this is a very important motion, especially in these times. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone speaking against the motion? Okay, do we have any comments or questions? Yep, Liam.
Right. So I think a point
Got
of...
30 seconds,
Okay,
just so you know.
okay. Does that include size? Okay. So I think there's a point of clarification that needs to be made here. Our policy at the minute about money going to student hardship fund is about the money which has not been paid for the staff wages when they've been on a strike. That is not the same as tuition fees. And another point to say that we can't really calculate tuition fee payments back because that's not how it works. We do not directly pay, and also we're not being paying. We're going through student loans company, so it's hard to do.
Thank you, Liam. Would the proposer like to reply to that?
Well, frankly, I get your point that there's a whole system behind it about, it goes through tuition fee loans, Loans England, and then it goes to the university. But still, at the end of the day, it is our money, and we have set out to pay the tuition fees for a set criteria, set subjects, set topics, set contact hours we had. And I think, yes, there is a middleman there, but at the end of the day, it's still our money, it's still our debt. And yeah, that's why I wrote this motion.
Thank you. We'll go to Emily first.
This is another common clarificatory thing. Even if we did lobby for direct compensation like this, we would still be able to lobby for staff forfeited wages to go into the hardship fund on the basis that they're two separate pots of money, as Liam mentioned already. In addition, the staff wages are undoubtedly smaller than the amount of money that students would be looking for. Some of the PGRs I know who teach are being paid £2 per person per seminar, which I'm sure they'd happily give you back in petty change.
Thank you. And to the back.
Thank you. So I am an engineering student and now my lecturer went on strike. So my question is it fair that people who do subjects with no strike in effect pay more tuition fees than those who do on the strike? I think we all pay the same amount, and this motion would change that in the net term. So do you think that's fair? Sorry, that those who do some subjects would in effect be paying more tuition fees than others for this year because some lecturers struck and some didn't. Do you think that's fair?
Well, I mean, fundamentally it's not fair, but I mean, it's the current system. I mean, right now, say, take for me, I do history, and essentially as soon as the strike started, it was off, whereas I have friends that do medicine or mathematics, and they didn't really lose anything. And I get your point that we would pay sort of different tuition fees, but we would also be getting different things in return. People doing mathematics, people doing medicine, they would have got their full course, or pretty much all of their course, whereas people doing history or the social sciences or politics, they would not get their full course and they would not get what they fully paid for.
Yep.
Thank you. I mean, I won't deny that kind of conversations and debates about whether or not tuition fees should be, you know, in some shape or form given back to students haven't taken place with quite a lot of people who've been closely associated with the strike, and I think ultimately it's the right thing to give people a vote. But I think kind of there is an underlying theme really strongly here about, again, kind of education being a commodity you can buy, and also education simply sort of flowing out of lectures and seminars and not being something you have to work actively for. You know, somebody who misses out like me on sort of, 2 contact hours for a module per week and doesn't do any reading, isn't impacted by the strike. They're impacted by their own laziness, and I don't think we can sort of refund
Got to
that.
cut you off. Thank you. Would the proposer like to reply to that? You okay? Okay. And Alex?
I agree with Christian that everybody has very different views on this, so the fairest way is probably having a vote, which is what we're doing, so that's great. I do think it gives a worrying message that a university degree is like a service, that you pay for one thing and you come out the other end with the degree. That's not how it works. University is so much more than that, and I think it really undermines like what it means to be a university student to say it's just about going to lectures. That's not what it's about.
Thank you. And to Comrade, please.
Right, so I know a lot of people don't agree with tuition fees. I'm probably in the minority to agree with them, but the fact of the matter is they do exist at the moment, and so the university is in effect a service because you are paying to get a degree. Obviously it's your future self paying rather than upfront, unless some students do pay tuition fees upfront, but obviously not all students, most of them do go through loans. But obviously if we've paid for a service, then we should expect like what we've paid for, and if we in any other sort of business you would expect like a refund for that. So I feel like this is a good motion for that.
Okay, thank you. We will go to Zach.
Just on the topic, and I'll say it just straight at the camera in case His Excellency, the Vice-Chancellor, is watching this important meeting, that I did email him 3 months ago and still haven't had a reply. So I'm going to propose that we vote immediately, because this isn't a matter that the university is going to take seriously at all.
Okay, we will go to a summing up speech first, and then we will vote.
Well, as I said, you brought the point up. Sorry, I forgot the point. You talk about, it's more than fees, it's more than paying for an education, but that is the system we live in. Whether you wanted to change or not is not really part of the debate. We have paid for a set criteria of subjects, topics, and contact hours. And I do think that the student union should be fighting to return to that, to people that were directly affected by this. So if you also believe that, vote in favour of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, and we will now go to an indicative vote. All those in favour? All those against? And any abstentions? Okay, thank you.